Let's talk today about winning grant proposals. In a moment, I'm going to give you some very specific elements that will go into every grant proposal that you make. But I want to lay the groundwork first and just say this, that every decision is made by people. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're applying to a government entity, federal, state, county, local, a governmental organization, a charitable foundation, or the organization across the street. People make the decisions. So the most important dimension of your grant proposal is the relationship. The relationship with the people who are making the decisions. So we say if you're going to have a successful fundraising effort, here's your job. You got to get in line, stay in line, and get to the front of the line. So what do we do once we get to the front of the line? We're going to meet somebody. We're going to speak to somebody. And you want it to be a relationship more than it is the pursuit of a transaction. Now, the relationships that are involved, there are both the formal and the informal. So if I am, let's say I'm the executive director or the vice president for development, my relationship is going to be on a formal basis with the staff of the foundation, their executive director, their program officer. The policies of the foundation, the policies of the grantor will decide the limits on the relationship or the interaction in that formal role. But don't overlook the informal relationships. And this is where the members of your board, the volunteers for your organization, may have relationships and connections with those who are in an informal role with the grantor. Maybe they are a trustee or involved in some other advisory role. So the policies that restrict staff-to-staff interaction can't constrain the social or the informal, the business relationships outside them. So from the very beginning, make sure that you have solid relationships in place so that when the grant proposal is submitted, it's submitted to a receptive audience. So when it comes to the grant proposal process, who do we ask? Well, we have a threefold rating process that we go through, and I'm not going to elaborate on that a lot, but just to say this. We want to start, first of all, with those who are closest to us as an organization. That may be geographically close, it may be programmatically, it may be relationally. But then we want to evaluate, are there adequate resources so that the grantor could make a gift or grant if they were inclined? Do they care about what we care about? And is there a generosity factor in place? Do they have funds to contribute? And the other thing, let me just comment on briefly, relates to the importance of the grant guidelines. So in today's world, most often we can go to a website and we can see what it is that the funder wants to fund, what their restrictions are, and that's important for us to be advised what their policy is. However, keep this in mind. Grant makers only make grants according to their guidelines unless they do something different. It's amazing to me how often it is that a grantor will do something that their guidelines say they won't do because they decide they wanted to. And so I say that not for us to be ignorant or to violate those, but I would engage in that conversation with the decision makers in that relationship building process. Get their advice, find out what they want us to ask them for, and be willing to respond even if the advice they give us is somewhat contrary to the printed guidelines. So here are my three biggest tips. In fact, this is my grant writing workshop in a nutshell. What do you need to do for a successful grant proposal? Number one, know your organization. Oftentimes we spend way too much time worrying about how well we know the funder. Well, they already know themselves. That's not why they need a proposal. They need a proposal to get to know us. So know your organization and in a very transparent fashion, communicate that to the prospective funder. Number two, read and follow the directions. How hard is that? Yes, read the directions, follow the directions. If you're unclear about the directions, ask. Ask somebody who knows, and that's the staff at the funder. And then here's tip number 3, and this may be the most valuable of all these 3 tips, and that is beat the deadline. Why beat the deadline? Because from the time that your proposal packet arrives until the decision is made, that's how much time the funder has to get clarification from you, to check with others about your organization and about your program. You know what? I want that funder to have as much time as they want. So if I submit early, number 1, I'm going to arrive before anybody else's proposal, but most importantly, the funder will have time to ask questions, to get clarification, to be better positioned to come up to a yes decision. Now, certainly the proposal is going to be personalized. I mean, do not do a boilerplate grant proposal. If you've met with the funder, mention the person by name with whom you met. Bring back parts of that dialogue into your proposal. Make it evident that we are connected, that we were listening to them, and give them some reminders of what we want them to remember from what they heard from us. And then the question is, how long does it take to put together a grant proposal? Well, frankly, that depends very much from one donor to the next. It depends on them, their deadline, their preferred form, the kinds of things that they need in order to make a yes decision. So take your cues on preparation from the donor, from the funder. The decisions aren't made on the basis of the paper. The decision follows the relationship. Do we have a solid relationship in place that the proposal builds on, or are we expecting a piece of paper to do all the work for us? So is proposal writing something that's important to you or to your organization? Are you serious? Are you ready to get started? If so, then look for the magic finger. Yeah, so if so, don't stop. If you're ready to get serious, ready to raise more money, perhaps ready to add another 0 to that next grant that comes in the door, consider whether you have the resources internally or perhaps you need some outside help. If so, feel free to contact us. We would be happy to come alongside and assist you in that process. I do a lot of that kind of work. I've got a network of experienced consultants that would love to come alongside and assist you in your grant writing process. Please feel free to give us a call. In the meantime, let me wish you every success in your grant writing process.